Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another installment of Flyera Gonna Flyer, our 57th episode. We got another great episode for you guys today. We're going to be going over last week's games. Another 2-1 week. Back-to-back 2-1 weeks. I like that. 4-3-1 overall record so far. Dan Vladar, man. 5 games, 5 good starts. Is this his Crease to own? Or is this just a little hot spurt? We'll be going over that as well. And on the other side of the coin, Matvey Michkov, a little bit of a struggle to start the year. Now played 8 games, only 3 points. Is this a sophomore slump, or is this just another speed bump like he had during his rookie year and will eventually find his way once he gets more accustomed to the system? Sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Flyera Gonna Flyers coming your way next. Hey everybody, welcome to our 57th episode of Flyera Gonna Flyer. As I just stated, I am one of your 3 gracious co-hosts, only 2 today, Alex Fournette. Jamey will not be joining us today. He's got some stuff he's dealing with personally, but we do have a good episode for you in general. We have a lot to talk about, as I just mentioned, and we're looking forward to talking it all with you guys. But not to leave him hanging, the man to my top left-hand corner, you know him, you love him, Mr. Eric Martino.
What's up, Alex and everybody? Good to be here. Talk Flyer another week, a good week of Flyers hockey, and let's go. Let's get this started.
Good week indeed. Good week indeed. 2-1 again. 4-3-1 on the year. As we record this today, they're currently technically the first team out of the playoffs, but points-wise, they are tied for the final playoff spot. Islanders have it, I believe, due to regulation wins, but way too early to be really talking standings. It's more about how you're playing and then roll into that from there. But 3 games this week. I think I got them all right again. If I remember correctly, I think I had them 2-1, and the exact 3 games I called again. I had them beating Seattle, losing to Ottawa, although I said they'd kick the crap out of the Isles. They didn't kick the crap out of them. They won it in a shootout. But they did win. But yeah, 2-1 week. Let's start off with that game against Seattle. And I got to say, that was their best game of the year. That Seattle game, they were buzzing top to bottom. Now, mind you, they gave up the first goal early, but they didn't change the way they played in that. About halfway through that first period, Tyson Forster with an absolute snipe. S-H-N-I-P, snipe. Top corner, loves hitting that spot. It seems like that top right corner. Puts the Flyers up ties the game at 1 apiece. Then a little bit later in the period, after a little bit of so-so back and forth hockey in that game, the Flyers started finding their game a little bit. And I'm sorry, Forster goal was second. I got the goals mixed up. Tippett got the first goal. Let me rephrase that. I caught that. My bad. That was almost a week ago. Tippett got the first goal off of a really weird play. The puck just kind of skittered out in front of him off of, I don't know if it was misplayed, if it was deflected by Couturier, but the puck pretty much popped right in front of him. He got an empty net to shoot at to tie it at 1. Then the Tyson Forster snipe happened. Apologies on that. Had to correct that little boo-boo there. Get the Flyers a 2-1 lead. And then the floodgates opened up a little bit. Igor Zamula, a very surprising good game here. That's rare words that we haven't said all year. He had an absolute feed of a dime to Travis Konechny, who tapped it into an empty net to make it 3-1. Noah Cates got a redirect that we were kind of confused who originally got the goal. We thought it was Forster's second goal of the game. Eventually was credited over to Noah Cates, a redirect in front of the net to make it 4-1. And that second period, I got to say, was probably the Flyers' best period all season. Still up to this point was the second period of that Seattle game. They controlled pace. They were up in Seattle's business. The forecheck was established. They were locked down defensively. Seattle did get a goal later that period, but overall, Flyers played a great period top to bottom. They were up 5-2 going into the third after Owen Tippett also potted his second goal of the game. That one was not incorrectly given. And then it's kind of coast mode from there. Flyers end up winning that game 5-2 in a game that it just felt like they controlled top to bottom. Even when they went down 1-0, they found their game. They skated strong. Their defensive zone play was excellent that game. Absolutely excellent. Vladar, another really strong showing in net, 21-23, continues to look stellar. Eric, what's your take on that game?
No, I have to agree with you 100%. Like, look, I think this was so far this year the most complete game the Flyers have played. I think first, second, third period, they never let the foot off the gas. They were dominant. They were all lines were going. Vladar, we'll talk about him later, but stellar again. Like just a complete game from everybody, and that's what we're gonna need. That's what we're gonna need every night. Because look, we don't have the best talent in the league, so we're gonna have to do this by committee, and that was a by committee game. Everybody rolling, even the fourth line. I think that was the last game that Luchenko played. Even Luchenko, I thought that game he made some really nice plays. He did make a few mistakes. Like I'll give him that. There was a few mistakes that he made, but I thought, solid game. That was the game. Grabankin had made a couple beautiful passes towards the end of the game. Especially they had him on a line with at one point with Zegras. He was taking someone's spot on the. I think we took Mikshkov's spot if I'm not mistaken, or no, whose spot did he take?
I thought he played on that line with Dvorak. I mean, he
took Dvorak's spot.
Dvorak. It was him.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah, because he was with Mishkov. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I had a major blank. But yeah, no, but good for the kid that Grabankin too. Like he's really showing something and some feistiness and everything. And no, I'm really like I said, best game the Flyers have played so far all year.
And what was good about this game is this was the game that they rejumbled the lines to make them feel a little more comfortable and making sense. They ended up putting Zegras and Michkov together on the line, which is something me and you have begged for a while. Yeah. Carson Dvorak with them, who at least plays a good defensive game. And I said myself, as have you, as long as I am okay with putting Dvorak in the top six, only if he is put with Zegras and Michkov. Now, it looks like that's kind of their third line right now, although I don't really think the Flyers have an official first, second, and third line. No. They're all kind of the same if you want to be in perspective. I guess if you go by minutes, probably it'd be the Couturier, Tippett, and Konechny line, but maybe it'd be more like a 2A and 2B. But point being, that line played well. That line played very well. I feel like the Flyers played excellent their own. I thought Cam York was stellar in this game. Absolutely stellar. He was locked down every time they played it. I mean, the puck came anywhere near him in his own zone. And Jamey Drysdale, not enough is being said about this kid. He's not playing what you were expecting offensively, but his defensive game, John Tortorella, dating back to last year, stated that they need to completely revamp this kid's game. And while he hasn't found it offensively, this kid has suddenly looked like a guy who just continues to break up plays defensively. And he did that all week. And it started with this Seattle game. I'm going to get more into it with today's game against the Isles, but we'll get to that when we get there. But I got to give some love to Jamey Drysdale, at least on the defensive end. He continues to be – he has been very good in his own end. He doesn't make mistakes. He's good at clearing the puck up. He breaks up those potential odd man rushes. He clogs up the passing lanes. He just seems like he's been in the right spot. He showed that a lot, both in that Seattle game and just throughout the week in general. I thought that was one of Michkov, at the time, Michkov's best games of the year too. Like he was slowly in an upward trend. He picked up a secondary assist on the Konechny goal. So it was good to see just in general, all four lines, even as you mentioned, even the fourth line was playing well. Even Zamula had two good offensive plays. He had two assists that game. He dropped a dime to Konechny. Zamula, the whipping boy of the team. Like, they played great. Nothing more needs to be said about that Kraken game. They just played flat out great. At least for me. Eric, do you have anything to add about that game?
No, that's it. Pretty much everything we said. And it's true. I can believe that was the first game that they actually did switch up the lines, and that was something that we did talk about last episode. And you saw the difference right away. Like it just balances the lines. That first
Yeah.
line was not going. And yeah, no, it really balances the lines better now.
Agreed. So then we moved to Thursday as the Flyers ended their, at the time, 4-game homestand. They moved to a simple 1-game road trip against Ottawa. And Flyers struck very quickly on that. Tyson Forster hit a snipe over Olmark, a game that you, Eric, attended yourself. Flyers jumped up 1-0, and that was it for the offense, unfortunately. They ran into a hot goaltender who, at the time, had been struggling. Olmark was good. Now, mind you, the Flyers, this is one of those games that you kind of point to that Tocchet's system of quality over quantity could be a little problematic when you're not putting constant rubber on. They only put up 23 shots, which isn't terrible, but when you look at it, when you're only putting up 1 goal, you wish you can just find ways to get more rubber on the net. But I got to say, in that game, Matvei Michkov had that breakaway out of the box, and it was ironic because they brought up how when Michkov would always be eyeing down Torts on the bench last year whenever they took like a too many men or a delay game or something like that, so he could get that breakaway. Suddenly he gets that opportunity off of a penalty that he committed, and he got stonewalled by Olmark. It was a good bid, but just a better save by Olmark.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, he buries that game, you might be looking at a completely different game. But that game was just a game I just felt like the opportunities that they got, it's not that they didn't get good opportunities, but they were just a hair off on the opportunities that they did get. And Olmark was good in net. You know, I got to say, that game was probably Michkov's best game of the year. Even though we didn't get any points, that game I feel like was Michkov's closest game to Michkov we saw last year. He was all over the ice. He was setting up plays. He had 2 or 3 high-quality shot opportunities, counting the breakaway. He just was getting bid after bid, but it's just that, or at least the plays around him were working, but they just seemed like they could not solve Olmark. Eric, what was your take on the Flyers' 2-1 loss to Ottawa?
Yeah, the Ottawa game, like, not that. Look, I don't think the Flyers played terrible that game. I don't think they played terrible against Ottawa. I just thought they were just looking a little off. There was like some passes that were ending up in other players' feet, and it wasn't the cleanest game. Not enough offensive zone possession. Like, it was a lot of one and done in the offensive zone. And that's it. I don't know. Again, it wasn't sloppy. It wasn't. I just feel like there was just something a little off. But yeah, but like you were saying, Mishkov, yeah, that was, I think, his best game, even like possession number wise. I was just taking a look now, and like his expected goals for percentage and Corsi and everything were probably the best on the team.
Like over 60%. He was.
Yeah. No. He really did. No, even I watched. He did have a good game. That was one of his better games so far this season. But yeah, look, like you said, they ran into a hot goalie. Allmark was good. Then again, they only did take 23 shots or even less, or I don't even know what it was. But no, you got to shoot more than that, man.
Yeah, and this is what we point to. Like, hey, listen, I'm all for getting high quality bids, but do you really want to sacrifice that much quantity of like an extra 7-8 shots a game? Where Wayne Gretzky's old famous saying, 100% of the shots you don't take don't go in.
Exactly. And especially at the beginning, like I found Allmark to start the game looked a little shaky. And this is like an Ottawa team that this year has just been bleeding goals. Like to start the season, they're just bleeding goals. And we just couldn't, like, it started off real great. We scored with 20 seconds in. Or so, but then after that, we just couldn't really generate much. And look, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have games like that where it's just, look, it's not your night. It's not your night. The main takeaway, at least, is like I said, I don't think they played terrible. They didn't play terrible. It's just, you know what? It just wasn't your night.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, they didn't get a lot of shots on, but the shots they did get, Allmark played solid, and Dan Vladar kept them in this game. This is why we named him what we did. 31 of 33 in net. He made some big saves in that third period, especially when Ottawa had a true chance to put the game away. And the Flyers kept it 2-1. But you ever have one of those games, Eric, where even though you're down one, it feels like it's so much more. Like
Yeah.
it feels like the score is worse. The game is worse than the score indicates. That's kind of how that game felt. And I think a lot of it just had to do with they weren't getting enough consistent chances in that game. And it just felt like a game that even though you were only down one, that was just always just a little out of reach. And it just felt like that all game that they just were, as you mentioned, a tad off. And it just felt like they weren't going to tie it that entirety of the game. You could get a bounce here and there. And I think that's where my argument of getting quantity in shots on net come into play. That if you get those constant shots, maybe you get a bounce, maybe you get a rebound, maybe you get a break, maybe a penalty is committed off of, some extra offensive zone time that leads to an extra power play or two because you're getting all that rubber on net, leading to fatigue of the defensive players that the opposition has. This is my argument of the quality over quantity argument. I always like to find a good balance in between the two personally, but if you're going to take consistent quality over quantity, as Talkit system seems to be with both the dump and chase and just finding the high danger opportunities, you better make sure that the chances you're getting that you're burying consistently because they don't feel like they're doing that. And this was one of those games it just felt like that personally.
Yep.
But yeah, do you have anything else to add before we move on to the final game of the week?
No, that's it. Honestly, nothing much else to talk about in that Ottawa game.
All right. This is the main event game of the week. This game today with the Islanders, as we're recording this, was fun. Horribly officiated, but fun. Fun game top to bottom. So we'll get right into this. First period, Flyers hit. The pace was kind of slightly favored to the Flyers at first until Isles took a penalty. Flyers get a power play. Michkov makes a really rough pass to tip it in the slot that I think Michkov already had his mind made up of what he was going to do with this puck the moment he had it. Instead of trying to find a better play, he wanted to do a set play where he hit tip it for a potential one-timer in the slot. And the pass picked off led to a 2-on-1 where Urson is sniped top left corner short side. And that's when I felt like Urson's got to have. And this is where I'm starting to think, oh, my God, here we go. Urson's going to start letting in leaky ones all game again. 1-0 after one. Isles get off of another mess up on defense. This one on Juleson. A little bit on the ref, too, because Juleson's trying to clear the puck around the net, looking for, I think it was Ginning. And the puck hits the ref's skate. The puck's kept in by the Isles. 10 seconds later, off of the fire zone, he finds cross crease anti-declare tap. And no blame on Urson on this one. This is just a breakdown and a bad pass by Juleson, who didn't see the ref there. But the ref should have been out of the fucking way, too. So call it half and half. 2-0. Flyers, however, were getting opportunities in this game. And it never truly, unlike that Ottawa game we just mentioned, it never truly felt like the Flyers were out of this game because they were getting some consistent offense this game. The dam finally broke. What a passing clinic. Michkov to Zegras. Zegras with I don't know if you noticed this, Aaron. He made a no-look pass to Christian Dvorak, cutting across the crease. Gets it onto his backhand, take notes, Konechny, and just buries it into the empty net to make it 2-1. What a pass by Zegras. I haven't seen playmaking abilities to this degree since Claude Giroux on a consistent basis from what Trevor Zegras has shown in these first couple of games he's been here. His passing has been sheer non-excellent. His on-ice vision has been excellent. And you see where the talent comes from. And it makes me wonder, like, man, why did the Ducks take what they did for Zegras on that trade when you still see flashes of what he can do? Second period moves along. No, I'm sorry. Moves to the third period. Nice little dump in by Drysdale. Dvorak kicks off the rush, goes behind the net, finds a beautiful pass. Zegras buries the one-timer left side. First goal is a Flyer. Ties the game at 2. Game's picking up some action now. Unfortunately, not too much later. Redirect goal by the Isles makes it 3-2. Yeah. Could Urson have made that save? Maybe.
Nah, no chance.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
why
tip
it's
last second. He had no chance
yeah,
on that
it
one.
was a redirect. It was like I heard people getting pissed about that one. That's why I'm like, he would have need to have moved a lot closer to maybe stopping that, and it was just a perfect redirect. I'm not going to give Urson too much crap for that one. It's just a first goal. First goal he's going to have, but that third one, eh. So moving on though, the Flyers get a power play off of what looked like a nasty high stick by I don't remember who made the penalty for the Isles, but Couturier drew it. Flyers get a power play, fire drill in front of the net. Zegras pushes it under Sorokin's pads. Puck trickles in, ties the game at 3. Trevor Zegras, FYI, before I continue, 8 games, 8 points, 2 goals, 6 assists. He has been everything and more that this team has wanted since his trade. He's been great. Overtime moves along, and I got to say, there was a blatant, as I said to you off air, blatant miss too many men on the ice call on the Isles that led to a rush. Thankfully, Ursa makes a beauty of the save. This overtime was crazy. Back and forth action. Teams had opportunities. I feel like the Isles had the better of the chances, although the best one they had, like I just mentioned, should have been a penalty. We get to the shootout. This is where it's crazy when you think about it, how bad we used to be at shootouts. And now we may have arguably one of, if not the best shootout lineup in all of hockey. Zegras and Michkov should be in every shootout they have in general. Zegras is 14 for 22 for his career in shootouts.
That's pretty damn good.
That is over 60%. If you have a guy who is 30%, that is good. 40% is great. He is, I think it is 63%. That's absurd. And then Z and Michkov both had the same style of goal, but you just see how silky Zegras is on those shootout bids. He just moves so slow, and his puck handling is so disgusting. You don't know how you're pretty much guessing. You're either pretty much guessing or hoping he misses. And he didn't miss, and neither did Michkov. Both of them buried goals. Flyers get a 4-3 shootout win. I got to give credit to Urson because he made some big saves in both the third period and overtime. He had a bad first goal, but he didn't let it shake him too much. Good for Urson. He had a good game, good second half of the game, let me rephrase. He had a stellar second half of the game. Flyers pick up a big 4-3 win in a shootout against a division rival, improved to 4-3-1. Eric, what is your take on this game?
No, another really good game by the Flyers, I have to say. I'm sorry. Look, like the Islanders are actually surprising me a little bit because these past few games they've been actually playing really well and they're actually looking decent. They had a bit of a rough start, but now have picked it up of late. And so yeah, noisy game. And I thought, look, they stuck in there with the Islanders. It was very back and forth. This game was like at times you saw like the Flyers. It looked like they were like the more dominant team, but then like the Islanders would take over for a few minutes. So look, I thought it was really back and forth game. Zegras, like you mentioned, Zegras was on fire today. I was like he was playing some of his best hockey. The Kate's line was what it is what it is. Like it's just good every game. Like I'm not even gonna bother. Even the fourth line, man, when we got a little bit chippy there, Apples and Grabenkin and Hathaway just all fighting and that's not what you love to see that, you know. And even like it was the Ottawa game, a couple fights also in the Seattle game. Another, I think it was Grabenkin who fought in that one. Like the Flyers are showing people, like even though like look, and Delory is not even in the lineup. And that's what I want to point out. Like Delory is not even in the lineup. And look, we got guys. Grabenkin's fighting. TK fought. Hathaway's fighting. A-Balls is fighting. You know, everybody. And like this is a team that's basically showing the rest of the league. Like, listen, we're not gonna take your shit. Like maybe we don't have that traditional goon fighter like Delory, but like we have guys that can play up and down our lineup. That will drop the gloves and will beat the shit out of you. That's basically what it is. And you know who plays that way? Alex, you know who plays that way? the Florida fucking Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but that's the way you gotta be. That's the way you have to be. And like this is and look, and now and we still have some big boys coming. Like Martone's a big boy, he's coming. Bump's got some size, he's coming. So I really like the extra physicality. And look at Owen Tippett. Man, this guy's throwing hits like nobody's business. Like
That led to the TK fight you mentioned the other night, actually.
I was like insane. Like, and no, but this is the way they have to play. You know, this is the way we have to play. We have to roll 4 lines that can score. We have to play physical. We can't take shit from anybody, and we have to stand up for each other. And that's the way. And I saw it I saw it all this week. All this week I saw it. And no, like, look, yeah, we were down 2-0 to the Islanders. And you know what? The team maybe like 2-3 years ago, like, would have been like down in the dumps and would have been like, oh well, you know, we're down 2-0. It's not our night, man. But no, and look, man, they came back, they dominated, they scored, and we're never out of a game. And that's what I'm liking so far this season is we're never out of a game. And look, when it comes to Urson, I have to say, I thought he played well today. He played well. The only goal that I think, and this goes back to a little bit like our point that I made last week that we've been saying with Urson, it's that just give me that save. Just give me that save. And now look, he did a couple times in overtime.
He made a few big saves today.
But for me, it was the second goal because if you look at it, it looks like he doesn't read the cross ice pass properly. He's slow to get across. And even like Duclair didn't take that shot clean. He actually had the time to stop the puck, bring it in, and then score. So anyway, so that one because the first and third goal, I don't put that on Urson. I'm sorry, no chance.
I put the first one on him personally. He's got to be top left corner personally. I think he's going to make that save. But third one, I give you, yes.
You're coming on a breakaway. The shooter picks his spot. Like, what are you gonna do? For me, like I have a hard time. That's where I
want to save on a power play like that. But
yeah,
I mean, I give Michkov some blame on that too. That rush should never happen because that was just a bad turnover. But
yeah, that's gonna lead to another one of my point where we talk after about like Michkov like struggling a little bit, and this is like he should have never made that pass. Yeah, like
I 100% agree there. Yeah, he had to play second time before him.
Yeah, like Owen Tippett is in triple coverage. That puck is not getting in there. Like, I'm sorry, he's surrounded by 3 guys. It's not gonna happen. I just think the one thing I've noticed, I even saw it in the Ottawa game, even though like he played really well, but a couple times I think he tries to force things because I think he's having a bit of a slow start or for whatever reason. I think he's trying to force things, and sometimes it really ends up biting him in the ass. So, but other than that, I don't know. I thought this was a really good game. I thought even though like Urson ended up with an 885 on the game, sucks because again he's not over 900, but like whatever, he was solid. Yeah. He gave us a chance to win, and that's all we got to ask for. And yeah, no, Drysdale played great. I think I thought everybody really had a good game today.
I'm glad you mentioned Jamey Drysdale. He made 2 massive breakups in this game. One in the first period when the Isles had a big 4-on-2 rush that he single-handedly breaks up a pass going across the ice that could have left Urson to dry on a potential 1-T. Got his stick in front of the play. Puck goes along against the boards, plays dead. Flyers defense has a chance to come back. And number 2, there was a rush in overtime. He did the same thing. Jamey Drysdale, actually, the one in the overtime was a 1-on-1 play where it was kind of a weird angle that the Isles play was playing off of a bounce where he was getting the rush. Drysdale plays the body and the stick at the same time, forces him to the outside, play is dead. Say what you want about Jamey Drysdale offensively this year, but defensively, in my opinion, he's been the Flyers' best defenseman defensively this year. He has been constantly breaking up plays left and right. Overall, defenseman's a different argument. But from a defensive perspective, what he has become over the last 12 months, night and day. Absolute night and day. He deserves a lot more credit than he's been getting because he made those 2 plays. Those are potentially 2 goals that he may have eliminated right there, especially the one in the first period. because that was a 4-on-2, and the net's probably yawning open on Urson if he doesn't make that play. But good plays from him there. And just as a collective whole, I like the resiliency that accidentally hit my mute button. My bad. I like the resiliency this team had today. They were down twice. They were down 2-0. And as you mentioned, you go back to 21-22 when this locker room was one big giant eyesore cancer. They would have packed it in. They would have probably said, whatever, you lost. On to the next game.
Yeah.
Back when you had guys like Provorov and Hayes and D'Angelo in this lineup that just were not guys that fit this team. They took a breath and they said, nah, we're still in this shit. We're right in this. This is such a healthier locker room. And this is why I will always not have any ill will against John Tortorella. Say what you want about his coaching methods, especially in that final year. So be it. But he made this locker room a lot healthier. You can say what you want about his coaching methods, and, I can 100% agree with you in that final year especially. But this locker room would not be where it is today without him. And Danny, because Danny weeded out a lot of the bad eggs.
Mm-hmm.
This team, you're starting to see, even if they don't make the playoffs this year, which still likely is better than not that they don't, unfortunately, but you never know. But even if they don't make the playoffs this year, you're at least starting to see signs of what the vision of this team in a few years could look like. You have guys with talent. Zegras and Michkov already here. You have guys like Forster, who is going to be a great secondary scorer for this team for a long time. You have guys like Konechny, who, mind you, has to get his shit together, but long-term still is going to be a 70-point guy that eventually, hopefully at some point this year he gets back to that form. But, he put up 76 points last year. That can't be looked away from. You have a big body bruiser like Porter Martone who's going to be joining this team soon, who has been comped as the third Kachuk brother, who's been comped to Mikko Rantanen, guys like that. You're adding that to this team soon. Now, does this team still have holes? Yes, absolutely. No 1C, and they got to get another pairing guy for Travis Sanheim in the first pair. I don't know if Cam York personally is a first pairing defenseman. I think he's more suited as a legit good number 3, but I think you can keep York there for now, obviously, until you find something. But this team needs those two major holes still. A number 1 center and a number 1 defenseman. But I think the number 1 D-man is a bigger hole. But you're at least seeing the vision of what they expect this team to be sooner rather than later. Eric, anything else to add before we move on to Vladar?
No, that's it.
All right. So, next part of our next segment today. Dan Vladar has been excellent so far to begin this year. Eric, you were raving about. You love this signing from day one. This is something that you were adamant on, and I have to say, at first, I was a little skeptical, schemish, but you talked me into it. You made me. You brought up the statistics. You told me about the run that he had in the later part of the year with Calgary, and I was like, you know what? All right, there's some good, strong points there. Let's give him a shot. Maybe they do got something in him. He has been everything you could hope and then some. Currently, tied for 7th in the league in save percentage at .932. Currently, in goals against average, 4th in the league at 1.81 with 3 wins in 5 starts. He's been great.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it. I got to ask this, Eric. Can you think of a softie he's let in yet this year?
No, like an actual softie. No, not yet.
Like one that you say, "Oh, Vladar, you got to make that save."
There might have been one in the first couple games that he played, but like we're nitpicking.
The second game he played against, who the hell was the second game?
Florida? No, not Florida.
Against that one goal against Florida, I think, that I looked at. It's like, oh, Vladar, maybe you could have got that one. But other than that.
Yeah, but no. Other than that, no, not really.
He's been everything you could hope for and then some. Now, mind you, the big issue when it comes to Vladar is he's never had this big of a sample size long term. The career high in games played he's played is 30. Now, he's going to shatter that this year. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to shatter that and then some. He's going to be looking at somewhere in the 40s, most likely, for starts, bare minimum. Eric, I ask you this. Now, we're not expecting him to keep the season going at a .932 save percentage. So realistically,
Probably not.
We know that's very unlikely. But do you think it's possible we could get him at, say, high 19s? Do you think this could be a goalie you can look upon to play consistently good for the majority of the year, who could maybe eat in 45, 50 starts, that could take some pressure off of Urson and maybe get the Sam Urson you saw today with less wear and tear on him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, honestly, I think the way he's playing right now, if he a 919 for the season, yeah, that's very possible, man. Even maybe a 920, 921, 922. Because especially like with the system that we're currently playing right now, where it's, it is a little easier on the goalies than it was under Tortorella. Like,
Also true.
and he's just playing really well. Like, look, he put up a 939 against Ottawa. And like, again, if it wasn't for Vladar, that game could have looked a lot worse because he made some really nice saves. Like there was a couple where I was like right behind, because we were saying like right behind the net.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple I saw him make, man, and even my buddy's like, "What the fuck, man? Like, come on!" It is what it is, man. Like, the Flyers finally have a goalie, so no, like
we're not used to this.
Yeah, exactly. We're not used. I'm used to holding my breath, like, please don't win, please don't win, please don't win. But no, solid again, and even against Seattle, 9-13 against Seattle, like he's playing really well, and like I said, like. I don't want to like throw myself flowers or anything, but like it bothers me when people are just like, oh, this guy's never played more than 30 games and he has an under 900, so he sucks. And like, actually look at his numbers. Like, don't just like pull things out of the air, And it's like you look and because I remember Vladar when he was at Boston, and I remember watching him a few times, and I'm like, man, this guy has potential. This guy's good. And then when he went to Calgary. And like a lot of people, yeah, but he lost his job to a rookie. Yeah, well, because he got hurt, and then Dustin Wolf went on a fucking tear. So what kind of coach is gonna take like is gonna let's take out the hot hand and let's put in some like some.
And you want to talk about sophomore slumps? Look at what Dustin Wolf has done this year. He has been rough.
He's picked it up the last couple of games. Though he
played good in his last game. Funny enough, I think it was against Montreal. But other than that,
he was really good against us, I have to say.
Yeah, but no, but and even I was listening to BHLY, and Charlie O'Connor was also breaking down other numbers, and he was saying how like the way Calgary used Vladar last year, also they used him like he played like almost every road game. Not everyone, because he only played under 30 games, but like he played the tougher teams. He played most of the road games. They basically eased Dustin Wolf, like gave him like a little bit of easier competition. Mm-hmm. And also at the same time, like at one point when Wolf was struggling, like around January, February, Vladar took the net and he ran with it and he put up really good numbers. And again, when I say I broke it down like a few episodes ago in the summer, there was really 3 bad games, well, not even bad games, but I think one was a relief appearance. One was one he should have been pulled. And anyway, 3 games really affected his numbers, and that overshadowed all the good that he did. So when people will just look at that one number and be like, oh, well, that's what he did in the season, so he must suck. And you're like, no, my guys, like, fucking look deeper. Actually look deeper. And no, but look, I'm extremely thrilled. He's been playing really well. Like, hopefully he can keep it up. I have no doubt that he can. Like, he just looks really, I said a couple times, cool, calm, and collected. Like, he just looks solid. He never looks like he's panicking. He's always in great position. And that's it, and that's what we need, and plus, like, at 6'5", he takes up so much space. And like, look, contrary to like Fedotov last year, like he's never looked like on his tippy toes trying to see, wait, where's the puck? Where's it?
Fedotov played so small for his size too last year. You don't get that feeling with Vladar.
So no, that's it. You don't get that with Vladar. And look, like I said, right now, like it's going well for him. Like hopefully, if he could keep this up the whole season, not even better for us. And yeah, and look, at the same time, and I called it. Remember, we did our prediction episode at the beginning before the season started. I go, he's gonna end up being the starter. He's gonna win the job. I believe in him that much. And look, it took what 4 games into the season for him to take basically. But yeah, and look, nothing against Urson. I really like Urson. I've said this before on this pod. I think Urson is a very good goalie, and we saw it we saw it today. Like when he's on, he's on. He plays very well. But the thing with Urson is 1, injuries, 2, when he's off, he's off. So for me, that spells more tandem or backup. So if you could play Vladar, I know it's gonna be a new career high, but if you could play Vladar either 50 to 52 games and then give Urson 30, that's a nice split. Because nowadays in the NHL, the days of these like 65 to 70 game goalies, it's almost unheard of anymore. It's gone. We need 2 solid goalies. So having Vladar that playing the way he is to actually be our starter, and if you can have Urson playing every 2 to 3 games and giving you a solid performance because he's rested, he's not overworked, he's not going to get hurt because he's playing too much. That's going to give us a beautiful tandem and give us a chance to win every single day. And that's all we can ask for. Just give us a chance.
You know, I want to go back to one of the points you made. Cool, calm, collected. That can't be overstated enough when it comes to being a goalie. You watch some of the goaltending they had last year. Fedotov is probably the most guilty example of this, of just always looking uncomfortable, out of place, panicking after making saves. Always just doesn't feel like he could ever get into a consistent groove. You do. Urson, as you mentioned, when Urson is on, he's good. He can get on these runs.
Yeah.
He's one of the better shootout goalies I've ever seen. Gilt's shown today 2 of 3. And just in general, even dating back to last year and the year before, he's always seems like he's really good in the shootout. And when he's on, just in general, he can have his spurts where it makes you say, oh, there's something here. But the big issue with Urson has always been consistency. His highs are high. His lows, as you mentioned, are fucking Grand Canyon low. And when he hits those Grand Canyon lows, he could have 5 or 6 straight games where he's in that Grand Canyon low. He is a very streaky goaltender, and at the same time, he's an inconsistent goalie. He will have points where he'll have good game, bad game, good game, bad game, and then he'll have points where he'll have like 3 or 4 decent games, and then right back to 4 or 5 shit turns. So with Vladar, he's going to have some bad games at some point. That's inevitable. But we're not unrealistic. There's going to be a game or 2 or 3 at this point of the year. At some point of the year, he's going to be bad. But you know what? Every goalie is going to have that. With Vladar, the point can be is he shows, at least with this common collectedness, that he can probably hit the reset button, have short-term memory, and get back to playing the type of hockey he can play. The worst game I think he's had save percentage this year was a .909, which is still good. I think he's like I said, there will eventually be a game where he struggles, but you get the calmness feeling that, as I've just reiterated 47 times already, that he's always in net where it doesn't feel like it's a fire drill. He makes saves look easy. And if he lets in a goal, he hits the reset button quickly. And that can't be stress enough to be a good goalie in this league. You know, he's kept us in a lot of these games. He's won only 3 of 5 games. The Ottawa game they could have won if they friggin' potted another goal and brought that game to overtime. Who knows? And then the other game they lost was the Florida game, the opening game of the year. Funny enough, they lose that one 3-2, if I remember correctly.
Something like that, but the Flyers played like
3-2 or 2-1 or something. I think it was actually I think it was only 2-1.
Yeah, I think it was 2-1. I think the only game he allowed more than 2 was Seattle.
Yeah. No, they won that game 5-2. I don't think he's allowed more than 2 yet this year.
It was 5-2 or 5-3 the Seattle game?
5-2.
5-2. Oh, did he allow more than 3? I don't think he's okay. I don't think he's allowed more than 2.
Yeah, more than 2. Yeah, he hasn't allowed 3 yet this year. So
Right.
I am curious to see what happens though when he has that bad game. But I feel confident that he will show that calm and collectiveness as we've seen in these first 5 games. He's a good goalie. He's earned this, and I feel confident that he's going to have his best career save percentage in an individual season this season. I think he's going to be sniffing at least 915, 914, 915 range. My hope is he can maybe push the high 19s, 918, 919. You get me that? I'm elated. That's all I ask for out of a goalie. Because last year, there were less than 20 goalies that had a 900 save percentage. Did you know that? Crazy to think about in that perspective. You can be one of those guys that can push the 910 plus average, and you play the majority of the games. And him playing like this is going to have a good positive effect on Urson. Because as you mentioned, you're not going to be putting that much strain and stress on him. If he does have a bad game, he can take 2 or 3 games to mentally reset before going back out there, getting the opportunity, and you have the trust in the other guy that you have already to actually perform good more times than not. So the ripple effect that this could have on Urson and him, I'll tell you, if they play these goaltending tandem plays like this all year, and TK and Michkov can eventually get it going, which we're about to lead into that topic very shortly. If TK and Michkov can eventually get it going, I think there's over a 50% chance this team can make the playoffs. I really do. But there's a big ifs, especially on the goaltending part. TK and Michkov, not as much. But if you get that out of the goaltending all year, there's over a 50% chance this team's going to make the playoffs, I think. Eric, anything else to add before we move on to Mr. Matvey?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, now for a little bit of glass half empty perspective on this. Matvey Michkov, maybe not glass half empty, but just to go on a player that has struggled so far. So Matvey's had a little bit of a struggle to start the year, no secret. He did have an assist today on the first goal, which is good. Through 8 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. He's had 2 soft benchings in the third period throughout the season. Even today in overtime, he only saw 1 shift. Makes me wonder why he's not getting those opportunities. I think it's more talk. He doesn't know how to use him in that yet. But you better figure that out soon because you can't keep him stapled to the bench. So we were talking throughout the week how Michkov had a decent game against Seattle, a very good game against Ottawa. Even though he got an assist today, I don't think Michkov had the best game today. Out of the 3 guys on his line, I'd have to say he was probably the worst of the 3, shockingly enough. Even though that line generated 2 5-on-5 goals, and he did pick up an assist. But overall today, he had a bad first period. He had a very bad first period between the goal he let up. He had a few plays of the puck he was trying to force things a little bit. There was a turnover he made by the blue line that led to a separate rush as well late in that period and in the second period as well. But as the game went on, he kind of started finding his groove a little bit. He started playing better. Each period, he got progressively better for sure. But overall, it definitely wasn't one of his better games. We're waiting for that Matvey Michkov 3+ point breakout game, and I think it's coming soon. However, we are still seeing the signs of concern. That is this a sophomore slump, or is it still just him learning the system? Eric, what's your take on this?
Well, look, when it comes to Michkov, I don't know, there's a thing with the ankle, so his conditioning and whatever. Okay, fine. Is it, maybe it's gonna take him a little longer to be 100%. But like I brought up before, because honestly, there's a couple. I have to say though, there's a couple times in the Ottawa game where he did look like I'm watching him live, where he did look a little slow. Even I know he's not a burner in general.
Yeah, skating's not his forte. Agreed.
Exactly, but he looked quicker last year. So he looked. There was a couple of times I noticed where he looked a little slower than usual. So maybe I hope not, but maybe there still is a lingering issue with the ankle. If that, I don't want to say that the Flyers made this up. It's most probably a thing, but. But just to see that he's maybe a half a step slow. So maybe he's still maybe rehabbing. He's still like, getting the cardio up and everything. So, and look, like we said, since they switched him to the Zegras line, I thought he's played better. And like I said before, like I find there's times where I think maybe he's just gripping the stick too much because like he feels like he should be doing more, that he should be contributing more, but it's just not happening for him. So I find he's making some questionable decisions, like we said, like today, like even on the power play, like Tippett in the slot is in triple coverage. There's literally a triangle of players around him. Don't make that pass. Like he's not gonna get it. Like so, which led to a turnover, and like it went the other way, and they scored. So, and I think these are things that Pocket is seeing. So he's like, and maybe that's why, like at certain points towards the end of the games or overtime, maybe he's being held back a little bit, is because maybe Pocket just doesn't have that trust yet in him. But look, it's gonna come. Like he's still picking up points here and there, and like he's not, like I said again, and he's not playing terrible. But like you brought up too, like for me, the bigger concern right now is Travis Konechny. And you know what? Truncatory as well. Because look, just now, like I keep on looking again, I go on Money Puck and I try and look at like advanced stats and whatever, and like their line is always one of the worst of the night. If they're not the worst, they're the second worst line possession wise, expected goals for percentage and Corsi. Like, and now, so, and look, you look at Mishkov, and he was on that top line with them for the first 4 games of this, or at least not the first, but then the next 3 or something, and he was really struggling. And look, like they took him off that line, they put him with Zegras, and like now he's still not the Mishkov of last year, but like at least he's playing a little better. And now look, Tippett's on that line, and like look, Tippett's still playing well. I have to say he's still playing well. It's not that he's playing awful or not, but
the offensive play is starting to dry up a bit.
it's 2 games now that like so look, we'll see. I think that line, that TK and Coots have to get something going. Because I think that's gonna end up becoming a bigger concern. Because if Miskosh picks it up and like that Zegras line is what it is, like it's playing really well right now. And look, it was even playing well when Tippett was on that line. So you're like, oh, was Tippett really driving that line, or was it just like whatever? But now look, they put Mishkov there, and that line is still going. Like tonight, they were probably the Flyers' best line.
Oh, sure.
So look, I think Mishkov eventually will figure it out. He's too much of a talent to continue struggling. And look, yeah, as soon as his conditioning and his health gets back to 100% and whatever, I'm sure he'll take off. But like I said, TK and Coots are starting to become very concerning. And if at this point Coots just really, it's stupid to say because actually Coots, I think he has like 9 points on the season. So it's like, or something like that. He has like 8 or 9 points on the season. I would have to check.
8. He's got 8.
8? He's got 8. Okay.
Point per game guy.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, but Eric, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah. Half of them came in one game, though.
He had 4 in one game, and I think he had 2 in another, if I'm not mistaken. So like 6 of your 8 points come from 2 out of 8 games. So, but yeah, look, I think they got to pick it up. And TK, how many points does TK even have? I think he really has 2 on the season.
I think he's had 3 or 4. I think he's got either the same as Mitchkov or one more than Mitchkov. I don't know.
Yeah, so
it's 3 or 4 for sure.
Yeah, I think that right now for me is more of an issue than Mishkov's struggles. Because again, like I said, like Mishkov's a young player. He's gonna struggle at times. Like it's natural. He's gonna struggle at times, and it's a sophomore season. It's gonna happen. But when you have veterans that are struggling like that and that like keep on putting not so great possession numbers out there, that's a little bit, for me personally, that's a bit more concerning.
You make some very good points, Eric. So Michkov's ankle, obviously, as you mentioned, he hurt it during the offseason, may or may not have affected his conditioning. Does feel like he is skating a little slower. My big concern with Michkov right now is his decision making. One of the things that we talk about so much about him is how high his hockey IQ is. He's like a supercomputer. And I feel like now, could this Arsley still be learning to talk its system a bit? Yeah, maybe. We talk about how it takes roughly about 2 months to learn a system and to really get comfortable with it. It's only been, 2.5 weeks? So I'm sure there's still some bumps and bruises along the way learning this system. Like, I expect there's going to be more as the season goes on. But last year, he wasn't making a lot of these decisions that make you scratch your head. The one would tip it today. He's made a few other ones this season where plays just seem like they've died. I do think it is a little bit of a mental game right now. And I think once he does have that breakout game, we will see the Michkov of old. But at the same time, we do have to look at this, that what is causing him to struggle. As I just mentioned, I agree. I do think he's a little bit slower this year. I also don't think he's shooting the puck as much. He needs to have a little more of an aggressive touch. Last year, we saw games Michkov would pile up 4, 5, 6, 7 shots on net with ease. I'm not seeing that this year. I feel like he's been more pass first than having that aggressive shot that we've known from him dating all the way back to his days in the KHL and the MHL and whatnot. That he's always had an aggressive first shot mentality. And everything else he does on the ice offensively has been that. But I feel like he's been more pass heavy this year. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you have the shooting touch you need to have some level of selfishness too. You need to put the puck on your stick and start ripping the thing, because that's how you're going to build some confidence, not just scoring, but just with your overall play in general. Because if you find ways to score goals, you're like, all right, now I've got that silverback gorilla off of me. I can start doing other things as well. Another thing funny you mentioned that is accurate. He has played better with the Zegras and Dvorak line than Konechny and Couturier. And Konechny and Couturier seem like they have still struggled together, where Michkov, as you just mentioned, has played better with Zegras and Dvorak, not to the extent of last year, but better. Today was probably his worst of the 3 games of the week, but still, like, it wasn't like the Carolina game bad. Like, it was the worst game he's ever played as a Flyer, if you ask me. But I look at Michkov right now. I wonder if this is going to eventually lead, not just for him, but Konechny as well, to get both of them going with comfortable lines, if this is eventually going to lead to breaking up the Cates, the Forster and Brink line.
Yep.
To maybe move some of these guys with them to make things comfortable. I know we've been pushing it for a while. And the Cates Forster Brink line, they got something on the power play today. Technically, it wasn't that line. It was just a second unit. But Brink and I think Cates both pick up an assist on that third power play goal that Zegras got. Mind you, Trevor Zegras point per game guy. I'm loving that right now. But besides the point, I wonder how these lines would go. Just throwing hypotheticals out there. Maybe a Tippett, Cates, Konechny line. Maybe move Couturier in between Zegras and Michkov to take some of the two-way play off. Because I do feel like Michkov plays a little bit better with Couturier than Konechny. At least this year. Because he did find a little bit of play well with Couturier in some of those games. Just the puck kept popping off of his stick. Couturier at least still has the two-way dynamics that he doesn't as a very good face-off guy. And then maybe try moving Forster and Brink, pick up Dvorak. Just throwing spitballing ideas out there. I don't know if this is even going to be a realistic line combo, but just ways to potentially get these lines going. Maybe breaking up that Forster, Cates, Brink line to do so. I don't think that is going to happen yet, especially coming off of a win. I think 2 of the 3 games, Michkov has played well this week. This one, funny enough, with him getting a point, was probably his worst. But I do think we are seeing signs in the big picture that he is playing better with that line just in general, and I think the breakout game is coming. Konechny, this dates back to last year. Halfway point of last year, something happened where we thought he was hurt, and he said in the interview he wasn't hurt. Is this starting to become a mental thing with Konechny? And then me and you discussed if he was hurt or not. You thought he was. I thought maybe he was. Who knows? Is this starting to become a mental thing with Konechny? He only has 3 or 4 points. He had a rotten game today. I think maybe you could even argue his worst game of the year. Me and you talked about this off air. He had a friggin' tap-in goal that he should have buried it on the backhand. The net was wide open, and he decided to kick it to his forehand and then shoot it, giving Sorokin enough time to get back in position. Konechny of old fires that. Konechny of old buries that with his backhand. I don't understand on that play why he did that. There was another rush with Tippett and Konechny that I think they had a 2-on-1. Tippett hit a bit of a saucer pass. It hit his stick, but he couldn't handle it. And that was one I feel like Konechny of old handles that pass. I'm starting to think a little bit of a mental game is starting to come into play here with Konechny. He's going to find his game. I'm getting a little nervous with that. And that's where I come to the line of maybe breaking that lineup because I don't know if things are working so well with him and Couturier. And FYI, I just throw this out with Couturier. This dude is the most hot. He either plays excellent or fucking sucks. There's no in between with Couturier without this year. He's had great games, and he's had some games where he's completely off the map. Today felt like one of those games he was a little bit off the map. He didn't play awful, but he just felt like he wasn't there. But just in general, back to Michkov real quick, I feel like once he gets his groove going, once he has that one big breakout game, we will find the Michkov of old coming. Points are starting to come a little bit. He got 2 in 3 games this week, which is good. He got 2 assists. Both were good setup plays to lead to the goal. Both were kind of like the same style of setup. A cross-ice pass to an open guy that led to an eventual great pass by the primary assist guy, one being Zamula, which is still weird, leading to a very easy goal. So he's starting the plays. Hopefully he can break out. And I think it is coming soon. Eric, anything else to add before we end things with our predictions for next week?
No, but I just want to touch a little bit on what you said. Like, honestly, like, look, at this point, like, it sucks because the Flyers are winning. Okay. Well, not it sucks that the Flyers are winning. The Flyers are winning. It's great. But it sucks because, like, that line is just something. It's not clicking this year. But at the same time, like, you're like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Because it's like every other line is going. So we don't, like, do we really want to break everything up?
Yeah.
Just to, like, help one line? And look, you saw that little switch with Tippett and Michkov got Michkov going a little bit, but before that, like, every other line was going also except other than the first line. So you would think it would, and then in the Seattle game, you saw that the first line was kind of going, or at least. But again, is that just reminiscent of Tippett and what he was doing before, carrying that line? And now you see that, like, Tippett is kind of like, not, I don't want to say Tippett is regressing because he's still playing well. He's still using his body. He's taking shots. He's doing what he has to do. But it looks like, at least before, when Tippett was playing with Zegras, I thought Tippett and Zegras had some real chemistry going. I said after game 2, and I really like that line. And anyway, and now they switch it up, and okay, it's getting Michkov kind of going, and hopefully going, like, in the next couple of games, he'll like you said, he'll just maybe have that one breakout game. But like, I'm hoping that now, like, Tippett doesn't actually start regressing playing with these guys on the top. And at a certain point, are we gonna call them our top line? Like, they're not. They're clearly not.
And they're playing the ice time of the top line, but they're not playing the skill of it.
Exactly. They're getting top line minutes, but they're not giving us top line production.
Yeah.
And again, sounds stupid because technically the Couture, no, I think Drysdale might have tied him after today, or maybe even took the lead. I would have to just check to make sure. But yeah, like, Coots is technically one of our top scorers, but like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I think
No,
he's played,
Zegras is tied with him. Zegras and Couturier both have 8, I believe.
are tied now, right after
Yeah,
today.
you
Okay,
said Drysdale, by the way. It was Zegras.
I said Drysdale. Oh, sorry, my bad. That's because I was looking.
That's
for
why I was
the
going
stats.
to throw. I was like, where's Drysdale coming in on this?
No, I have Drysdale in my head because I was looking at these. I was trying to
Yeah.
find the tweet that I thought I saved, but anyway, but yeah, no, but no, but that's it. Like Couturier, I think out of what we're at 8 games now, I
Mhm.
think he's played like 3 good games. Like I think honestly, he's played maybe like 2 really good games, 1 pretty decent game, and the rest were not great.
Yeah.
And honestly, TK, same thing. Maybe he's played 1 or 2 really good games. The rest, not so great. So, and that's for me something that's like, and look, I get it. Like, Talkit is probably like, he's a player's coach and whatever. Like, he's never gonna. I don't want to say never bench his veterans, but like it's gonna take a lot for him to really bench his veterans. And like I said, I think I brought this up last episode. I don't remember if I did, so I'm gonna bring it up again in case I didn't. But there was that game there where they shortened the bench, they shortened the benches, and like they were basically rotating 2 lines the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, get it to overtime, and then in overtime you start like Coots and TK starts the overtime.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like TK had a terrible game that game. I'm trying to remember who it was, but anyway, I remember he had a really bad game that game, and yet he was being used because he's a veteran, and I got it. I understood.
Yes, I know. They benched Mitchkov, but they didn't bench TK. I know exactly where you're
Exactly.
going with that.
So I told myself, and I saw it. I remember during the game, I'm like, okay, I get it. Veterans talking wants to get to overtime. Let's protect the lead. Let's protect this. Get it to overtime. Let's get a point. I got that. I understood. But what really bothered me was that then in overtime, then you should give Mishkov a shift.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you start Mishkov because I thought technically, I remember in that game that I thought TK played worse than Mishkov.
Oh,
But
God.
yet, so now you basically ran him every second shift for like at least the last 5 minutes of the game, and then you start him in overtime. Like, no, that's where Mishkov should have got a shift.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I'm saying. Basically, my point is that I think it's going to take a lot for Talkit to bench or at least like demote a veteran like down the lineup. So I think this is going to be something that we really have to start like monitoring because like at the end of the day, like right now it's not hurting us. Technically, it's not hurting us. But at a certain point, if some other, like, let's say the Cates line starts to struggle and their points dry up, and like the Zegras line is really the only line doing anything, like then what? Then what excuse? Who are you gonna bench now? Like what? Are we gonna put this on Mishkov's shoulders? Oh, it's Mishkov's fault that the first line's not going? No, like that's why right now it's not hurting us, but I think eventually something, if they don't pick it up, something's gonna have to be done.
I agree. And I agree. And that's where we come with, will it eventually lead to breaking up the Cates line? We'll see. I think you made some good points there, Eric, especially just in general. TK needs to pick it up. Long story short, he needs to get it going. Him and Coots together, bare minimum. All right, let's move on to next week's games. Technically, we have 4, but we'll probably be only recording by 3 of them because the Sunday game's at 7 p.m. and we'll likely be doing this recording next week, Sunday morning. So only going to do the 3. We'll save Calgary for next week. 3 games coming up from today to Saturday. Tuesday, part of NHL's Frozen Frenzy. They have the kickoff game, funny enough, against the surprising 6-2 Pittsburgh Penguins. That will not last. I don't care what their record is.
No, that's not lasting.
Then Thursday, they host the Nashville Predators. And then Saturday, they host the struggling Leafs. Honestly, you look at the schedule, 3, they're in the verge of a 5-game homestand. This is home games number 2, 3, and 4 in that homestand before they end it Sunday with Calgary. Like I said, we're going to save Calgary for next week because we'll likely be recording before that game. So with that being said, Eric, what's your predictions for the week?
Oh man, I want to say 3-0. I want to say it's so bad. We're gonna beat Pitt. I'm sorry. Like Pitt's not that good. I know like they're playing better.
Mhm.
They got some guys going. Like, well, Malkin is having like wow. Like he's like
Yeah, where
on
did
the
this come
top.
from with Evgeny Malkin? I thought he was cooked.
Like, yeah, I didn't think it was good, but like,
But
okay,
he
maybe he's a
whole
50,
15.
60-point player now,
Yeah, whole 15 of his career.
Yeah,
Going on
but
16.
holy fuck. Uh, so that's gonna be interesting because like uh, as far as I remember, they said that they're not resigning him. Like he's done
They've
there.
already said this is going to be his last year here. He's probably moved at the deadline.
Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. So yeah, no, I think Pitt right now is playing a little over their head. I think we take the Pittsburgh game. Nashville too. Look, Nashville's not a good team. I think we should beat Nashville. So that's 2-0 for sure. The Leafs is the one where I'm like, I don't know, just because they're struggling right now. The Leafs are really struggling right now.
Mhm.
So I could see like the Leafs losing like another 2 games before us, and then our game is the one where they're like, you know what, we gotta figure this shit out, and like they get that one win against us. Um, uh, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going 3-0. No, we're gonna beat the Leafs. Leafs suck. We're going 3-0.
Rick will love that. All right, first game. 5-4 win against the Penguins. They're going to be in a bit of a shootout. I think this will be the first game Vladar has a little bit of a hiccup and lets in a couple. Pitts has been scoring quite a bit lately, so I have to give that. I think they'll ride their hot play a little bit, but I think the Flyers actually have. And this will be book it now. This will be the Matvei Michkov breakout game. He will have the minimum of 3 points in this game. He played excellent against the Pens last year, and he will continue that. 2 goals and assists from Matvei Michkov in this game. Flyers win this one 5-4. Nashville, this will be a weird, ugly one. They will win, but it's going to be like 2-1 in overtime. And I'm going to say Erson actually starts, and actually plays well in this game. And then I have them losing 3-2 to the Leafs at home. Think they play a good game here, but the Leafs, just because they seem like they've always struggled against Toronto over the last like half decade. I'll give Toronto this one. I say I will continue the week trend of 2-1 weeks, and we'll be at 6-4-1 going into next week's show. Eric, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
No, just basically like my thought. Keep it up, boys. Like I think we've been playing some really good hockey so far all season. Maybe one stinker so far this season, and then I think it was like the first game of the season. So power play has to pick it up a little bit. Like we went 2 for 3 against Seattle, which was really good. But then I think we won 1-3 against the Islanders and tonight, and then this afternoon, and 0-3 against Ottawa. So not terrible, but like still could be a little better. So that's it.
All right, everyone. That'll do it for this week's episode of Flyer. Again, a Flyer. As always, if you have anything you want us to talk about next week's episode, leave us a comment in the comments section. Like, comment, and as always, please subscribe to us. We are 2 subs away from 300, and we were trying to get to that 500 spot to officially get monetized. So yeah, help us in our goal to get to 500 subs.
Let's go.
And then some. We would greatly appreciate it. I'm also going to mention our director is gone for the night, so I'm going to be doing pressing the closing button. So if the outro is played twice, I apologize ahead of time. But thank you all for tuning in. Have a great night, and as always, let's go Flyers.